Hey everybody, welcome back. We're doing the foundations. We're 62% complete, and today we're going to work on alignment. Introduction. So far, everything we've touched with Flexbox has used the rule flex1 on all flex items, which makes the items grow or shrink equally to fill all the available space. Very often, however, this is not the desired effect. Flex is also very useful for arranging items that have a specific size. This lesson contains a general overview of topics that you will learn in this lesson. You'll learn how to align items inside a flex container both vertically and horizontally. Let's look at an example. So here we have a container with 3 items inside of it. The container is the purple part, and then there's these 3 blue ones with a teal out border. You should be able to predict what happens if you put flex1 on the dot item by now. Give it a shot before we move on. So yeah, if we go to the item and we do flex is equal to 1, we're going to see that it spreads the, adding flex1 to item makes each of the items grow to fill the available space. But what if we wanted them to stay the same width but distribute themselves differently inside the container? We can do this. So yeah, as you can see, these are stretched out now. If we comment this out, if we remove that, the change is that they didn't maintain their width. So they're saying, what if we want to maintain the width? So it says remove flex1 from dot item and add justify content space between to the container ID. So here's the container ID, and we do this. So now we see that they maintain their same space. Doing so should give you something like this, and if we look there, you can see it's done that because this matches that. Justify content aligns items across the main axis. There are a few values that you can use here. You'll learn the rest of them in the reading assignments, but for now, try changing it to center, which should center the boxes along the main axis. So right now, they're spaced between, and so if we change this to center, they're just all centered, and there's no, it doesn't make the gap in the middle. To change the placement of the items along the cross-axis, use align items. Try getting the boxes to center of the container by adding align items to the container. The result should look like this. So you can see in this one, their items are at the top of the box, whereas here they're centered in the box. And so if we add that here, we see that it's now centered in the box. So I think that's what they're trying to get us to understand. Because justify content and align items are based on the main and cross axes of your container, their behavior changes when you change the flex direction or flex container. For example, when you change flex direction to column, justify content aligns vertically, and align items aligns horizontally. The most common behavior, however, is the default justify content aligns items horizontally because the main axis defaults to horizontal, and align items aligns them vertically. One of the biggest sticking points that beginners have with Flexbox is confusion when the behavior changes. So if we were to change flex direction to column, do it from the bottom. Flex direction to column. Okay, that changes it this way. And then if we made this one end, is it flex end? Okay, I'm not exactly sure. We'll just keep moving on though. Okay, so moving on to gap. One very useful feature of Flex is the gap property. Setting gap on a Flex container adds a specified space between Flex items, similar to adding a margin on the items themselves. Gap is a new property, so it doesn't show up in many resources yet, but it works reliably in all modern browsers, so it is safe to use and very handy. Adding gap of 8 pixels to the centered example below produces the results below. So if we were to come here, oh yeah, so they've already got it here, gap of 8. If we made this 20, they would probably spread out way farther than they needed to. Okay, so gap is just a way to add a specified amounts of pixels in between boxes. There's more for you to learn in the reading below, but at this point you can surely see how immensely useful Flexbox is. With just the properties you've already covered, you could already put together some impressive layouts. Take your time going through the reading. There will be some review of the items we've already covered here, but it goes into more depth and touches on a few things that haven't been mentioned yet. Don't stress too much about trying to memorize every little detail yet. Just code along with the examples and your best to internalize everything that is possible with Flexbox. You'll have to reach for these resources again once you get to the practice exercises, but that's perfectly acceptable. The more you use this stuff, the better it will stick in your mind, and you will be using it constantly. Have fun. Okay, so we're moving on to the assignment portion. This beautiful interactive guide to Flexbox covers everything you need to know. It will help reinforce concepts you've already touched on with some really fun creative examples. So I'm not going to go through going through another separate sort of thing, but this is something you could go through. Typical use cases of Flexbox is an MDN article that covers some more practical tips. Don't skip the interactive sections. Playing around with this stuff is fun, and you'll learn how to do it. So if I check this out, seems like there's interactive stuff. Yeah, so here they have, this is longer. Page 3 is longer. Okay, it's not interactive. So yeah, this is just another thing you can check out. I'm not going to go through that right now. CSS Tricks Guide to Flexbox is a classic. Flexbox layout. So yeah, they give a lot of information here. That's something you guys can check out. So do the exercises in our CSS exercise repository directory. So yeah, I have that here. It's been a while since I did this, so I'm just going to clone this. So I'm copying the SSH element, and I'm just going to open up terminal. Change the directories to the desktop, and then git clone. And then once we do that, we should be able to change directories into the CSS exercises. And then if we list it there, then that's good. Now I have VS Code, so I'm just going to go code dot to open this in its own Visual Studio Code. And I'll just close the terminal now. And I'm going to try to make this big. Get to the right there, right here. And so we're in Foundations, Flex, and so Flex Center. This is our first one. And we're going to move through these. Flex Center, Flex Head, Flex Header 2, Flex Information, Flex Modal, Flex Layout, Flex Layout 2. So these all line up, and that's where we're going to start from. So we can start with the first one, and we'll open up the README. This one is simple, but it's something you'll all want to do all the time. Might as well get it out of the way now. All you need to do is center the red div inside the blue container. So the first thing I'm going to do is going to drag the index HTML for the problem to the browser, and we'll open it up. So we can see it says center this div here. If we look at the desired outcome, we want it to be centered like that. The index isn't going to really tell us anything because we already have all the HTML there. And so we'll stay here. So if we go back to README, is the red div centered? Did you only use Flexbox to center it? So for this one, what we're going to want to do is go to the container, and we're going to want to add display as flex, and that makes it so that we're using Flexbox. And then we're going to do align items, and we're going to do this in the center. So now if I come back over here and I refresh, we see that it's aligned towards the center. But it's also, we want to align it horizontally on the center too. So for that, we'll use justify content, and then we'll move that to this center. So now if I save this, refresh, we see that the div's in the center. That's great. Okay, so I have Command J, and we can go get status. We can see that I've added. So what we're doing now is committing our changes to our forked repository. So if I go get, add, and I can do Foundations, Flex, 01, and the style.css, or I could just do get all everything, but I'm just mixing it up here. So now if we go get status, we'll see that we have added that, or we have staged our commit. So now we're going to go get commit, and I just like to add a message right there, and then solve 01 flex center. And then now that's been committed, so we can go get push, and that will push it up to our GitHub repository. And so we've saved our work here. Cool, so that's the first one, Flex Center. So now we can move on to Flex Header. And if we check here to the README, so I can close this for now because we're done committing our changes to GitHub. A basic header. Use Flexbox rules to create this very common web page header style. Let's open that up real quick so we can drag that into the Brave browser. So this is a header that definitely needs some CSS. So check the screenshots below as an idea of how it should scale to your screen. Besides Flex rules, you also want to add some rules for margin and padding. Hint: ULs have some default margin padding that you will need to deal with. Alright, so for the narrow look, it looks like that. And for the wide look, it looks like that. There's space. So this is just the difference between whether or not you spread the screen out. You can see there's no change here right now, but Flexbox will do that. So we want to self-check. There is space between all items and the edge of the header. Specifically, pixels amount doesn't matter here. Logo is centered vertically and horizontally. List items are horizontal and centered vertically inside the header. And left links and right links are pushed all the way to the left and right and stay at the edge of the header when the page is resized. Okay. Your solution does not use floats, inline block, or absolute positioning. Note: for this exercise, it's completely acceptable to not match the font family. So it seems like our font family is already matched, so that's not important. That's probably something for Windows users to not care about. Okay, so what should we do here? First thing we're going to want to do is mess with the header, because if we look at the header, we can see that it's flat like that, and we don't want that. So what we want to do here is do a display of flex. So if we change that, we refresh, we can move it to that. So now the header is reacting to the container it's in, right? If we look here, we've got our header. So the header is the container, and it has all of these within it. And so when we say display flex, that makes it so that the horizontal axis acts differently. And so the next thing we want to do is we want to space these out. So if we could just go align items, and then we put them into the center. So if we save that, refresh, okay, so that aligned the items into the center, which would be an example of the logo, and then the the left links and the right links. So going back to here, so now that we've got it there, we want to do the justify content to the let's use space between. So if we save that and we refresh here, now we spread those all out. Great. So now that the items that are within the header container are organized properly, we can move on to, let's see here. If we look at our index HTML, we see that we've got the header as one container. I can shrink this for now. The header is one container, and then we have left links and right links. And each of these are made up of UL, so they have a unordered list. And so we could probably just do that. So this just removes the dot. If we were to comment this out, command save that, then we would see there's dots here. So that's what this does. So yeah, we want to do for the unordered items right now. You see I put the dots away. We want these to be flat, so we can do the display to flex here. If we save that and refresh, now they're aligned, so that's good. They're perfectly lined up. So if we look at the solution or the desired outcome, oh, don't open that up yet. We see that we want there to be a gap in there. So let's go back to CSS. We could just make unordered list have a gap of, well, they did 8 pixels earlier, so we could just go with that for now. And if we refresh here, we see, okay, cool, we've got gaps there. I still notice with the desired outcome that, let's see, the logo has a yellow line around it. You probably can't see it this close, but there's a yellow line that's around the gap, and in our example, there's not there. So actually, this is something that we'd want to do in the header, so we can move back up to the header and make it like a padding of 8 pixels. And so I'm pressing save, and then I'm going to refresh here. Cool, now we've got that spacing there. So it looks like logo is good to me, but I'm noticing that the 1, 2, and 3 have like weird spacing element. So padding, justify content, display flex. Maybe we could adjust this by we could do padding at 0 and then perhaps margin. So if I save that and refresh here, cool. So because we adjusted the padding and the margin, we were able to get those to flex like this. And this looks a lot like what they've got going on here. So yeah, I'd say this one's good. So we can close this now. We can check it against the solution. And so in their solution, oh, they didn't change the, oh, okay, yeah. So with their solution, the header, they put it down here as well. That's like not great practice. You want to put them all in the same category. So we had padding of 8 pixels, display flex, and space between. Okay. So yeah, those all line up with R4 here. And then the unordered list is the same thing. Display, flex, and then they added the margin and the padding and the gap. All right, so we're good with that one. So I can close these guys out, close flex header. We can just go back to GitHub, get status. That's ours. We can get add it. We can get commit with a message of add solution for O2 flex header. And now we can git push that, and that'll go up to our GitHub. And we can move on to the next one. So I'll just close this for now, and we'll open up flex header. Okay, so first off, we'll start with the README. We're starting to sneak in a little more CSS that you haven't seen. Don't worry about this for now. We just want things to look a little bit prettier. This CSS will not interfere with your task. For this one, we'll probably need to edit HTML a little bit. Often with Flexbooks, you need to add containers around the things to make them go where you need them to go. In this case, you probably want to separate items that go on the left and right of the header. Just like you did in O2 flex header exercise, you'll be nesting flex containers inside each other. So the desired outcome. As with the last example, this one needs to be flexible in the middle with the items pushed to the left and right. So here's our desired outcome. Oh, neat. Everything in this, oh, look at that, it's a GIF, so you can see. So they want it to flex if you expand or shrink the page. So if we open up this to our index page, we can see we've got a similar thing going on with our header from previously. And so everything is centered vertically inside the header. There's 8 pixels space between everything at the edge of the header. Items are arranged horizontally as seen in the outcome image. There is 16 pixels between each item on both sides of the header. Flex is used to arrange everything. Okay. So yeah, this is our current and this is our desired outcome. Okay, so we'll start off with the CSS and we'll also open the HTML on this side of the screen so that we can see it a bit better. And then I'll just shrink this for now. So we have our header, which has our profile image, which is this little purple thing, and that. So the first thing we're probably going to want to do is change the header to have a display of flex. So if we save that and refresh, we see that the items that are within the header are now horizontally aligned. So within the header, we have our logo, our links, notifications, and then the image. Logo, links, notifications, image. Okay. So within the header, well, I guess we could do align items to the center, just like we did on the last one, justify content to the center. If we save that, now we have that there. I'm not really sure that that's the right. Maybe we could do space, justify content space between. That's what we did. So now if we save that, okay, it's starting to look a lot more like what we want it to. Okay, so let's go back to check out the desired outcome. Yeah, so right now it's doing the space between for all 4 elements. And we need to separate these into the one for the left and one for the right. And I think this is what they meant when they said that in the README, you might need to do some HTMLs, change some HTMLs. For this one, you will probably need to edit some HTML a bit. Okay, so if we go over to the HTML, close this, and close this for now. Well, what we want to do is get these two and these two elements in separate boxes. And so I think we could do this one. This is going to be for a div class for left. And we're going to want the left ones to contain the logo and the links. Cool. And then we're also going to want one for the right. So div class right. We'll move these guys up by pressing Option and the up button. So this won't make any change here. Oh, I guess it would. So if we inspect here, now we can see that our links, this whole thing is controlled on the left, and then we also have on our right this. So now we just need to adjust those. So okay, so these are all contained within this class of links. And so that would probably mean we want to change the unordered list. So yeah, so here if we add display flex, and then we want to do our margin of 0 pixels and our padding of 0 pixels. Now if we save this, I think our unordered lists will change. Okay, so these are in line now, which is what we want. They don't quite look good yet. We want to add that gap element. So we'll go gap of like 20 pixels. So if we save that, now they're spread out. So it's getting a lot closer to our example one. But what we do still have a problem with is that these 2 elements and these 2 elements are both stacked on top of each other. So what we'll want to do is add to this CSS with a dot left and a dot right property. And is that right? Yeah, there's comma separated. So what's going on here? The left and the right. Oh, I did dots. These should be classes. No. Classes, period. That's correct. We saved our work over here. Why is this yelling at me? Do not use empty rule sets. Oh, it's just an empty. Okay. So yeah, here we'll do display of flex, and then we'll see how this changes things. Nice. Now they're aligned, but we want to align them in the center. So we'll go align items in the center, and then let's refresh. Cool. And then we probably want to add a gap in here of 20 pixels. So if we save that, nice. So now they're gapped in the middle as well. So yeah, let's check this desired outcome. Check the GIF. Shrinking and growing. And so with this one, if we shrink and grow it, one thing I'm noticing is that the logo and the profile picture element need to have some spaces in them. And so let's think about that. How would we do that? So in the header, perhaps we could add a padding of 3 pixels. Nice. Maybe 20 pixels. Cool. And so now that looks like the desired outcome to me. Cool. So Now let's check our work. So the first one we can do is go to solution, and we'll test our HTML first. So I'll bring up the solution here. Cool. Looks like they did it the same way. So the left and the left, right and right, and the notifications, everything's correct there. Cool. And then we can check our CSS. Bring that over here. And then here they have the import, the body's the same, header. Okay, they haven't added that here. So let's see if the header, yeah, they added just like here. So up here we have box shadow is the last one. And then down here they added display flex, justify content space between, and a padding of 20. We did 20 pixels and they did 8. They didn't do align items in the center. I wonder if that makes a difference here. If I separate that, doesn't happen. So I guess this was unneeded. Okay, so the next one's the unordered list. With the unordered list, they want the, well, strange. Oh, that's right. They have the unordered list up here. Wait, do they? List style none. Okay. And then it goes to flex, margin, padding, and the gap. The gap's a little different. I don't think that makes a difference. Display flex, align item center, and gap of 20. So we had pretty much the same thing. Cool. So I'm going to save my work here, close out all the windows, and then I'm going to press Command J to open up this. I'm going to go get status. As you can see, there's those two files are changed. So I'm going to say get add, which adds both of them. Get status just tells me that they're mounted now. They're ready to commit. So we're going to go get commit -m add CSS and HTML solutions for O3 Flex header 2. And then we can push that up. And now we are on to Flex information. Okay, we can close this for now and open up the README. The goal of this exercise is to recreate a section that is found on many informational websites. For this one, you will need to edit HTML a little bit too. We can't be making things too easy for you. You'll want to add containers around various elements so that you can flex them. Good luck. So here's the desired outcome. Ooh, it actually looks pretty this time. And if we open up our index in our browser, we'll see that they're not aligned. So this looks pretty straightforward. We want to make sure all items are centered on the page. The title is centered on the page. There's 32 pixels between the title and the items. There's 52 between each item. The items are arranged horizontally on the page, and the items are only 200 pixels wide, and the text wraps. The item text is centered. Cool. So let's open up the HTML and the CSS. And I'm going to close this for now. So yeah. If we were to inspect this element right here, we'll be able to see that there's the information, there's a header, and then these are all separated into separate images and whatever their elements are. I'm going to open up this, and we're going to have the desired outcome on the bottom here so that we can keep that in mind, and then we'll move the CSS over here. And we'll close the README and bring this up so we can see it. Nice. Okay. So I'll close this guy now so we can get an idea for how we want this to break this up. If you look at here, you see that the title is in its own box. So these 4 elements are 4 elements that are within their own one. Whereas here in our HTML, they are just free floating. So what we want to do, we can leave this guy here and we can just create a new container to hold these 4 items. So div class, we can call this one item container. Or image text box container. Okay, and then what we can do is move all 4 of these items, highlight them, and then press Option and then the up button on Visual Studio Code, and that gets them there. So if we were to save this now, nothing would dramatically change because it's just an HTML change. So we're going to need to do that in our style sheet. So we can take our item text box container and same thing as we did before. This is a class, so we want to put a period at it, and then within this we probably want to go display flex, just like we did in the last one, justify content, and we want to do that to the center. And then is there another one? I'm not sure. I'll save this for now and make sure to save the HTML, and then if we refresh, cool. I noticed that the text needs to be underneath them, but that might be something that we adjust later. I'm noticing that all the text is centered here, so if we were to add a let's see here. Well, within this container we've got these 4 boxes, so that's something that we could do now. Div class equals, what we'd call these ones, image text box, and then we just put 1 in here, and we'll just copy this for here, here, and here. And then we'll just move these guys up to there. And then you can highlight the whole box and tab it up. Okay, so now we've put one of these containers in its own box. Do the same thing to this guy. Highlight the whole thing and tab it up. And then we'll do this one to the 4th one. So we'll highlight this whole thing and tab it up. So now if we save this, this won't directly change anything. Oh wow, it got them in there automatically. Nice. So now we see, if we were to inspect this element, we would see that it's image text box, image text box, image text box. So we've created these 4 in a separate one, and then the title of information's there as well. I'm noticing information's too close to this, so we might as well, while we're here, add a I guess it would be margin of 20 pixels. And so if we save that and refresh, now we see that there's space between this element right here, which is the title class, and then this one here. And the first thing I'm noticing is information needs to be centered, and so the easy way to do a center on a page like this, a simple one, is we could do it to the body. So if we go to body and we say text align, center, if we save that, there we go, now everything's centered. Oh nice, it did this as well, so it centered all of this code, and that's what we see going on here as well. Cool. So what would be the next one? We probably want to do, well, let's look at the README. All items are centered on the page. Okay, so we did that. The title is centered on the page. We did that. There's a 32 pixel gap between title and the items. Okay, so it wants this to be 32. So if we go back up to title, margin, make this 32. I didn't notice a difference, but I'm sure there was. 52 pixel gap between each item. Okay, so I think we want to do that within each of our image text box. Or is it image text box container? I think we can do the gap to the container. And what did the README say? The container gap should be 52 pixels. 52 pixels. So if we save that, okay, it looks like the spacing's gotten correct. The items are arranged horizontally on the page. We already got that. The items are only 200 pixels wide, and the text wraps. This is a type of plant. We love this one. This is a type of plant. We love this one. It looks like we already got that one. But yeah, 200 pixels wide. So that means we're going to want to adjust our image text box. We're going to do .image text box because it's a class, and we're going to want to make this a max width of 200 pixels. So if I save that, refresh, nice. So that looks like what we're trying to do. Nice. All right, so what we'll do now is compare that with our solution. I'll put the CSS over here, no, the CSS over here, and then the HTML solution over here, and that way we can look at it. And okay, so for the this is the solution, and then this is what, this is our code, and this is what they did. So information, okay, they called it container. We called it image text box container. Image text box, that's for they called it info. And cool, our HTML is very similar to what they did. And so now we'll do our solution over here, and this is ours, and this is the solution. So this all looks the same. Oh, maybe body's different. Oh, I did body down here, so this should actually go up here. Okay. They did it down here because it's part of the solution. For title, they added margin bottom. I think they have title up here. Yeah, font size and weight is here, but they're adding it down here. So margin bottom, we did margin of 32. So yeah, that's the difference between this one. So we've got our work saved. If I refresh, if we go margin bottom and save that, and then when I refresh this page, okay, it popped up to the top, so I guess that's a good move. They called it container, but we called it image text box container. Cool. It was the same. README helped us out with that. And then they called their info box. We called it image text box, and that's 200 pixels. Cool. So I think we got this one right. Nice. So we can close this all out. And then open up Command J to open up our terminal, and so we can go get status. We'll see that we've got those. Get add both, get commit -m, add solution 404 flex information, and we can commit that and then go get push. So we're moving on. Great. Yeah, and I'm just doing this because this is a good habit to get into as a professional developer, because you want to be able to have small Git changes that are identifiable and useful. So it's just a good habit to develop. Cool. So now we're up to 5 for the flex modal. I'll close this out for now. Open up the README. A common modal style. This one is another very common pattern on the web. We'll open it up real quick. Modal, so that just means this box here. It's a very common pattern on the web. The solution to this is simple, but it might not be immediate or obvious to you. You'll need to edit HTML a bit to get everything where it needs to be. A hint, depending on how you approach this one, you might need to revisit the flex shrink property to keep a flex item from getting smashed. In addition, pay attention to the structure of the HTML. Specifically, look into adding an an additional container surrounding the header, button, main text, cancel, and continue divs, and look into moving the header div to encompass the button as well. So here's the desired outcome. We'll open that up down here. Nice. As we can see, that looks significantly different than this one, but not too bad. Self-check. The blue icon is aligned to the left. Okay, cool. So let's get into this. I'll open up the style CSS. I want to keep the desired outcome at least visible right now. And then our index HTML. And we'll close this so that we can see what we're doing. Okay, so if we look at the HTML, we see that within the modal, with this one, these are all just in here, so we want to add these into their container. All of these elements are within this modal class, but I think that we want to add a container into the modal class to make it so that modal container. So we'll just move all these guys up into here. Now if we save that and refresh here, doesn't make much of a difference. So maybe we want to add something to the container element. Body icon, close button, button continue, button cancel. So we've got all these separate little things within our modal container. We'll just wait on that for now. Another thing I'm noticing is that the exclamation point and the close button seem to be, or the cancel button seem to be in the same one. So what we want to do is move those into there. We'll open up the header here and then move the close button into the header element. So now if we save that, nothing happens. So what do we need to do? We need to go to the header, and we probably want to add something there. Where's the header? Is there no header? Oh, there's no header element yet. Okay, so come down here, open do dot header, and then within the dot header, we probably want to do display flex. So now if we save that, okay, at least are you sure you want to do that? And the X button are lined up, and if we line up to here, are you sure you want to do that? And the X button are lined up like you're right there. And the exclamation point's on the side. So the exclamation point is the icon. Not sure exactly how to do that yet. Maybe if we just continue to adjust the header set to flex, we could do the same thing as like align items. And then we make the items, align them to center. Okay, that makes those guys look a little bit better. What could we do? Justify content. Do that to space between. Cool, so are you sure you want to do that separated well? What could be the next thing to do? Maybe we want to have the modal be right here and have the icon be off to the side. So save that. So then for the modal container, do we have that? No, that was something we wrote. So modal container. Don't want the setting there. Modal container. No, maybe for the icon. If we're doing anything with the modal container, we go to the icon and we adjust this flex shrink of 0. Oh, I thought that would make it work. That was part of the README. So let's go back to the README. So yeah, we just added this flex shrink property into there. Property to keep flex items from getting smashed. In addition, pay attention to the structure of the HTML, specifically look into adding an additional container surrounding the header, button, main text, cancel. Structure. Pay attention to the structure of the HTML, specifically look into add additional container surrounding header. Okay, that's what we've got. The header, the button, no, the close button, yeah. The main text, cancel, and continue divs. Looking and moving the header div to encompass the button as well. Header and closing the button as well. So I don't know if it makes a difference if the icon's there. Well, for now, let's just focus on getting the header. Are you sure you want to do that? It looks like the text is bigger. Let's see here. The blue icon is aligned to the left. So how do we get the icon to be aligned to the left? Not exactly sure. There's equal space on either side of the icon. The gaps between it. I like that. Okay. There's padding around the edge of the modal. The edge of the modal. Okay, so you know what I'm going to do with this one is I'm not exactly sure how to do this. I'm not an expert, so I'm going to just start checking the solution against ours because I am running out of patience with learning this stuff. So modal, the icon. Oh, they've got the icon out of the container. So you can see they have it, the solution says it's container, we're calling it modal container, but the icon's outside of it. So if I save that and refresh, nothing happens. Okay. But here we have the class of the header, which is there, the button, the text, the continue, and the cancel. And then those are all within the modal container. So our HTML is the way it's supposed to be. So I wonder what's going on with the CSS. So we'll go over here and check the solution for the CSS. Close this again just so it's easy to read. And check it here. The body, display flex, justify items, modal, background width, box shadow, icon, color royal blue, font size, justify content. Okay, so they did the flex shrink to 0 here, but that, oh, we did this. This is the solution. Okay, so this is probably the icon down here probably has flex shrink on it. Cool. So that's the icon, the close button. Got all that. The button, still the same. Button continue, that's the same. Button cancel, the same. The header. Okay, so here we can start checking our stuff. So okay, they added all this other stuff in here. Display, align items, justify content. Okay, so the font size, as you can see here, the font size is much bigger. So they've gone font size. It's 18 pixels. We refresh. You see it got fatter, but it still needs to be fat. So okay, font weight. Font weight 700. Save that, we refresh, we see that that's bigger. And then the margin on the bottom. So as you can see, there's a gap in between here and right here there's not any. So if we go margin bottom, 8 pixels. So if we save that, now that looks right. And then they have a thing called text. So their text is margin bottom. Now this is just gonna adjust the, I haven't saved this yet. Oh shit, I just saved it. But now if we refresh here, so there's something going on with our index, our modal container. Modal container. But they have, oh, well, let's look at the solution, the modal container. But what did they call it in the index solution? We had a modal container. Oh, they called it modal container too? Okay, header, close button. Wait, am I looking at the right thing? Flex modal, flex. Oh, we're both looking at this. This is the same file. I need to go to the solution. HTML should be here. So here we have modal icon, container, header, text. Okay, so in the solution CSS, does the container the same? They don't even have anything on the container. So what's going on here? Style CSS. For this one, this is the solution. So header flex, center, space between, 18 pixels, 708 pixels. Text is 16 pixels. The icon, we put the flex shrink at the top, so that's not it. Here, the okay, so they're calling them, they're doing the modal. That's what we're missing. We need to add the dot modal here. So here, what were we doing? Okay, we're adding elements to this modal, which is the overall one. So if we inspect this, we'll see that the modal container, but then there's also modal as the main one. So we want to select this class. So modal, and then what do you think it is? Before we open up the solution, it's probably display flex. So if we save that, okay, cool. That was the big one that we were missing. And so instead of looking at the solution, let's go back to the README. There's padding around the edge of the modal, so it probably wants padding or something. 20 pixels. Nice, that's really starting to look like this. Let's see, what else do they have in the modal solution? Display flex, padding of 20 pixels. The gap. 16 pixels. Save that. Alright, cool. Well, I hope you guys don't mind that I was cheating and looking at the solution, but I'm not a really big CSS guy, so I'm just trying to do my best here. But that's how I kind of go through these things. So now our solution, which is this guy, looks a lot like what it's supposed to look like, which is this guy. So we can save our work and close all this stuff down. We'll open up GitHub because we want to, or our terminal, we want to go git status. We'll see that we've changed those two files. Git add, git commit, -m add solution to 05 flex modal, and we can push that up. Cool. We can press Command J to get rid of our terminal, and now we can look down into flex layout. And so we can start with the README here. An entire page. Flexbox is useful for laying out entire pages as well as smaller components we've already been working with. For this exercise, we're leaving you a little more work to do with some things you might not have encountered yet. It's perfectly acceptable to Google things you're unsure of. Hints: you may want to search something like CSS remove list bullets. We've done this for you in previous examples, but not here. Yay for learning. Finding out how to style links in CSS might help you get rid of that pesky underline decoration. We've added height 10 VH to the body. This makes the body exactly the same height as the viewport. To stick the footer to the bottom, you will need to use flex and change the direction to column. Great. Desired outcome. So here we have that. If I command click it, I can bring it up. Oh, neat. It's the Odin Project page. And if we pull the index into our browser, I can get rid of modal now and information. Yeah, so we can see that this is not laid out properly, but this looks like something we've been doing with Flexbox a lot. Cool. So let's bring up the index and the CSS, and we'll see how it goes. So we can see that these are broken into, there's header, left links, right links, left links, right links. And I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time making this bigger. It's just there's a lot of content going on here. And then there's content, which has the logo, which is probably this guy. And then there's text input. So this is going to input text box, the box right here. And then there's 2 buttons. And then we look at the bottom, there's the footer. And right now the footer's right here. Do things, do other things. So do things, do other things, and then the footer. So we need to adjust all of these things. And yeah, we want to get rid of the buttons as well. Going back to the README, you may want to search something like CSS remove list bullets. Self-check. The header is at the top of the page and the footer is at the bottom, and they stay in place if you resize your screen. Okay. And what did it say there? It said, we've added height to the body. This makes the body exactly the same height as the viewport. To stick the footer to the bottom, you'll need to use flex to change the direction to column. Okay, so for this one, the first thing that I think that we want to do, well, it seems like all the HTML is in the right place. And so I'm thinking this is mostly going to be a CSS changes. Let's pull the README up above this there, so we can just do that. Remove list bullets. I think that this has to do with removing the list bullets is going to be with the UL, and so the unordered list. So we're targeting the unordered lists here. As you can see here, there's all these periods there, all these dots along these guys. Those are generated by the unordered list, and we want to make this one list style is equal to none. So if we save that, boom, that gets rid of all those guys. Another thing we want to do is, you can see that all the links are parallel with each other, and so each of these ULs right now on our example are stacked. So we can, instead of doing just list style none, we can also add a display of flex to these, and that puts them to the side. We might as well add a gap, 20 pixels. Gives them space because all of these have spaces in between. That's all I can think about with that for now. Remove list bullets, you've done that. Finding how to style links in CSS might help to get rid of all the pesky underline decoration. Okay, so as you can see, there's underline decoration there under advertising and business, and on here there's none. So what we can do is go so we target all the anchor elements, which means all the like, for example, about and store are anchor elements. You see they're anchor elements within here. So about and store, which is the one for a text decoration. Text decoration, make that none. Save that. Okay, that gets rid of the underline. But another thing is we want to make it the same color as the Odin project. Let's see if we inspect this. Okay, you can see it's behind my face right now, but it's hashtag, or it's the list of EEE, which is the color code. So if we come back over here, we can say we want the color to be pound EEE. We refresh. Oh, that doesn't look right. Because even on our example, it's a bit different than that. Maybe we can make it something like, okay, we'll try 666. We save that. Okay, now it's got that gray color. Nice. Yeah, and that's just from experience and things. Does it say that it wants it? Footer should have a light gray background. So if we go .footer, footer should have a light gray background. So the footer should have a background of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 E's. Save that. Cool. And so now I think our footer colors look right. Yeah. But we just want to change that. Yeah, we want the footer and the header to both have a display flex. So footer and header, display flex. So if we save that, cool, that brings them parallel with each other. And then we probably want to do justify content space between. Space between. Save that. And then they're all separated out. Okay, cool. It looks like they need some padding as well. So we'll do padding 20 pixels. Save that. Nice. Now they're all brought in, so they're off the side of the page the way they were earlier. About store. Cool. So that looks good to me. Yeah. So we've got the buttons need to be, well, okay, here's another thing. So the whole HTML is laid out within the body text. So we could do body and then go display flex. That will make it so that everything's aligned that way. But now do we have a, I don't even know where our footer went. Profile settings, content, do other things. Privacy terms, I don't even know where that went. So we should do probably flex direction. Flex direction's the column. Nice. Okay, so that changed the direction of the organization of these various different elements. So body now it takes the header, the content, and the footer and separates them into separate elements. So this is the footer, this is the content, and this is the header. Footer, content, header. Footer, content, header. So that's what this flex direction did. So that was a good one. I'm noticing that the buttons look really small right now. So what we could do is there buttons in here? Okay, cool. So with the button, what we could do is add a padding of say 10 pixels. No, that's just going to create space around, yeah. We could do 10 pixels here and then 20 pixels here. That's going to make our buttons nice and fat. Yeah, so now let's work on the content, right? Because if we inspect here, we see that this is the content element. I think that this should be aligned in the center. So let's go check out the content element. No, it's not even there. Content. Content's a class, so we need to start it off with a period. And then here we'll go display flex. And then align the items in the center. So we save that. Ooh, I don't like the way that went. Let's try justifying the content in the center as well. Okay. And we want to make these in the same, because right now they're lined up on the side of each other. So we probably want to do a flex direction of column. Save that. Cool. And then, yeah, on this one there's gaps between everything, so we want to add a gap of like say 20 pixels. Cool, we've got that gap there. Okay, just for full disclosure, I had to look this up because I could not figure it out, but the bottom line is we needed to make this one do flex 1, and that aligns it the way that it's supposed to. So now we've got the flex thing. So flex 1 is what I forgot. I couldn't figure it out without looking at the solution, but this is basically the solution for this one. because now we see that our solution is the answer there. So somehow Flex 1 caused all the problems to be solved, and I don't understand exactly why. But I'm just going to keep moving on with this one because I've struggled with this stuff. So Command J, get status. We can get just add all our changes. Get commit -m. Add style solution to 06 flex layout, and then we can go get commit that, or get push, and now our answer is pushed up there, and we're to our last one. So I'm going to close this guy, and I can close our layout there, and now we can look into this one. So we'll start with the readme. Alright, the holy grail of layout. In this last Flexbox exercise, you're going to recreate an incredibly common website layout. It is so common that it is often called the holy grail. And it looks like they're looking for Google. Yep. Oh no, so it's something else. The holy grail of layout. So header, menu side, content, add, footer. With Flexbox, it is actually pretty easy to pull off. As with previous exercises, we've left a little more for you to do. Hints: you will need to change the flex direction to push the footer down. You will need to add some divs to the container to get things to line up correctly. Flex wrap will help you get the cards aligned correctly. Make sure you define how much space the cards should take up. Oops. How much space the cards should take up in order for flex wrap to work as intended. So here's the desired outcome. Whew, great. The number of cards lined up in this section will change based on your width of your screen, so don't stress about getting exactly 2/3 or 3/2 grids. On a small screen, it will look something like this. Oh, neat. The emojis may instead show up as one or several text symbols. If you don't have an emoji-based font family installed on your operating system, this does not affect the exercise and can be ignored. The header text is the size of 32 pixels. The weight is 900. The header text is vertically centered and 16 pixels from the edge of the screen. The footer is pushed down. Okay, we'll work through all these as we're going. So right now we'll just open up the index and then the style CSS sheet. I'm just going to close this now so we kind of have an easy way of looking at this. So yeah, it looks like we have a bunch of CSS here. My awesome website. Okay, I'm going to open this back up. I want to drag the HTML into my browser window. So this is what it looks like now, and this is what we want it to look like on a small screen and here on a big screen. So as you can see, we've got our work cut out for it. I'm going to close this one, and we'll close this for now, and we'll get started. I want to have the HTML on this screen, and then I want to switch between this one and the README. So we'll close this down, and we'll get started. So with the desired outcome, self-check. The header text is 32 pixels and weight of 900. So header text, we can already add that in here. Font size is 32 pixels, and weight is 900. So I'm going to press Command S and come over here. I think this is it. Yeah, we should see the awesome website growing. Sorry, this should be font weight. Same thing, but I don't think it makes a difference. Yeah, I saved it and did that. The header text is vertically centered and 16 from the edge of the screen. The header text. So I'm going to look into here, right click here, inspect. Looks like the header text is right there. Okay, so we can just add that to here. So it's vertically centered. So we want to say display flex, and align items center. Okay, we've got it aligned in the center, and 16 pixels from the edge of the screen. Let's check our desired outcome real quick. And it's spaced in 16, but it's still to the left, so that's fine. From the edge of the screen. So what can we do? Header padding 16 pixels. Cool. Now, so that looks similar to our desired outcome. Font. Where did I go wrong? Font weight. Isn't it? Maybe it's just weight. "900 pixels. Okay, so here I see this little red mark. What is the meaning of this? Increment, decrement the mouse wheel up or down keys. What? Maybe, oh, it doesn't need to be 900 pixels, it just needs to be 900. There we go. So now we've got that. So that looks like the desired outcome. My awesome website, my awesome website. We've got those taken care of. The push to the bottom of the screen. The footer may go below the bottom of the screen if its contents of the cards section overflows and or if your screen is shorter. Okay, this is going to be tricky. Okay, so the footer is pushed to the bottom of the screen. The footer may go below the bottom of the screen. And so for this, what we want to do is go to our HTML. And so what we want to do is make all of this content between the header and the footer set up as a div. So we'll do class is equal to something. I just press command or option up. We're going to call this website content. And then we'll move all of this stuff up, the sidebar and all the cards, into this area. Cool. And so now that that's there, we should refresh. Nothing's going to happen there. But now if we stylize the website content, then we'll be able to work from there. Cool. So the next thing we're going to want to do is make the body have a display of flex. And we want to say column. You know, I'm not going to lie, this is just kind of super difficult for me, so I'm just going to make this easier for us. I'm just going to pull up the solution CSS and look for here. So where we did website content, their solution was to add a class of body, which is confusing, but it makes sense. Because so what we want to do now is get these guys separated. So we're going to do the same thing here. We did body, and we're going to, for us, that was website. And here we're going to add the selectors that they have of display and flex. Once we save that, we'll see that it moves it that way. So now what we need to do is change the body of our entire website to have a display of flex, and then make the flex direction column. So when we save that, that's how we get this sort of structure. So this is the way the flex direction works. Man, this stuff's tricky for me. So let's see what else. We'll go back to the README. The footer is pushed to the bottom of the screen. The footer may go below the bottom of the screen if the content of the cards is da-da-da-da. Yep. We did that with the flex, and then it's changing the body and displaying that as the flex direction of column. What does that do? That makes it so that within our body tag, we're organizing the header, the website content, and the footer in a column. So you see how this is in a column, all this stuff's in a column, and that's in a column because they're stacked 1, 2, 3. So tricky stuff. That's how this stuff works. Cool. The footer text is centered horizontally and vertically. Okay, so the footer, we want to make this display flex, and then align items, center, and justify content. Cool. So now that's aligned in the center. And if we pull up our desired outcome, that's how it looks. They haven't changed the styling of that. So now what we need to do is focus on getting these lined up, and then this space as well. The sidebar, okay, the footer text is center. The sidebar and cards take up all available space above the footer. Okay. The sidebar. So I'm going to look back to the solution. The sidebar and cards. The sidebar, okay, we want to add flex shrink here. And take that to 0. And then padding of 16. So if I save that and refresh, cool. That gives us the spacing that is that we see in the desired outcome. And so what does that give us? Flex shrink of 0, so it doesn't shrink. So it matches the size of it. So we can go back to the README. The sidebar is 300 pixels wide and doesn't shrink. Okay, cool, we got that. The sidebar links are size 24 pixels and white. So what are the sidebar links? If we inspect the sidebar links, we see that they're just list element links. Go to the index. Okay, so it'll just be adjusting the list element. I think so. So we can go back to the README. The sidebar has 16 padding. Sidebar. Padding of 16, we did that. The link size. Font size is 24 pixels. Font color, white. Oh, it's just color. Refresh that. Okay, that didn't work with the sidebar. So let's see if we find a selector that we can. So if we inspect there, it's just the A reference. So instead of making it like that, is there any A's in here? Okay, so we can just do the anchor links and make them the color white. Cool. And how does that look in our desired outcome? It's close. Oh, that's right on. Oh, but the elements, we still have that dot on there. So if we go to sidebar, we want to go to list elements and we want to go text to decoration, just to none. We save that. Solution real quick. Okay, so we want to make it as part of the UL, and we want to go list style. And we want to make, so that should take away those dots, which gets us closer. Cool. So now we'll go back to the README. Sidebar and cards take up all available space above the footer. The sidebar is 300 pixels wide. We got that. The sidebar links are size 24 and white and do not have an underline or text decoration. Okay, cool. So that's where we want to go, text decoration. Cool, that gets rid of the underline. The sidebar has 16 pixel padding. If we look here, I think we did that. Padding 16. Okay, we got that. There's a 48 pixel padding around the card section. Okay, so on the card, we go padding pixel, save that. That helps. There's a 48 pixel padding around the so if we look in here, inspect the cards. So I wonder if we just adjust card, we do 48 padding. That out. Save that. Okay, this is starting to look better. The cards are arranged horizontally, wrapped to multiple lines when they run out of room on the page. I don't know how to do that, so I'm just going to look it up here. Okay, so they're saying container has. So do we have container here? No, we did website content. So instead of saying, so we should do flex wrap. Oh, we want to keep display flex. Wrap, and then gap of 32 pixels. So the gap of 32 pixels will give them a gap in between them. But I did something wacky. So our card should have a gap of 32 pixels. What does that do? And our card needs a flex wrap of wrap. So now we have, no, our container should have a flex wrap of wrap. We've already got that. Card. Card has padding and width. Padding and width. Nice. Okay, so now we're just going to start at the top and work our way down. So the min height for the body, and then we've added display and flex direction. Display flex. Oh, here we go. Flex column. Okay, so that takes care of our body selection. For our header, we have the background and the color, but we also added in all these things. So now we'll compare that with where they have it down here. They have display flex, align item center, padding, 0 pixels and 16 pixels. And then font size of 32 pixels, and then font weight of 900. Now if we refresh there, that doesn't help us much. So we'll go back up. Now that we've got our header right, and now we can look at our footer. It has the height, background, and color, but then they all also data down here for footer. Display, align items, justify. Yep, okay, that's good. So then we work on to sidebar. Sidebar is the width of 300 pixels, background, and the box sizing, and then we've also added in flex shrink. So let's go down to sidebar, flex shrink, padding, and they want the font size to be 24 pixels. We refresh here, didn't seem to make much of a difference. And so now we move to card. It has a border, box radius. Border radius is 4. And then if we go down here to card, solution has a padding and a width. Okay, our padding was 48. We want to make this 16 pixels. Cool, that helped. So now website content. This one they called container. So we've got display of flex. We have flex 1. That might not be there. So we want to have display of flex, flex wrap of wrap, and gap of 32. And then we want padding here to be 48. Okay, that didn't seem to make much of a difference. Website container, unordered list. We want that to be list style type of none. Oh, we want margin of 0. Padding of 0. Well, that didn't make much of a difference for anything but our sidebar. And then for our A element, we want text structuration. We want to add font size here of 24 pixels. Okay. And then part of the container, which for us is the website content, has a padding of 48, display flex, flex wrap, and gap. And then our card should have 16 and width of 300. Oh. Okay, that made a big difference. Card, width and padding, and then our card up here should have some stuff too. Border, box, shadow, box, radius. Okay, so that all looks good. See, our body element should have display of flex in the column. Our header element should have display flex, align item center, padding, we have that. Font size, we have that. Font size 32. And then our header should have, oh, maybe the header should not have display flex. No, it should. Header display flex, align item center, padding 016, font size 32, 900. So that all makes sense. Let's see, dot container. It's only here, but for us it's website content. Flex, wrap, 48, oh, padding, 48 pixels. Okay, well that changed things. 48 pixels, flex wrap, gap, 32. Yeah, this is exactly the same. And for a card, we have padding and width, and then border radius and that. Border, box, radius. Maybe it has something to do with body. Body should have a display of flex and a flex direction of column. That's right. Header should have display flex. So what's going on? Why is this? I think it has something to do with sidebar. Sidebar has flex shrink of 0, 16 padding, and 24 pixels. So if we inspect here, sidebar. Okay, so maybe this has to do with the HTML. I'm going to put the solution for the HTML on this side and ours here. So here we have the header of My Awesome Website. Website content, we have body, and then the sidebar. It has the UL and the LI divs inside of it, and then it closes the div. And then the solution has container here. Oh, okay. So we want this to be div class is equal to container. So this is ours. We've got body, which we call website content. Okay, so here we want to make it div class is equal to container. And then within the container, we throw the cards. And if we save that and refresh, it's not working still, but we're closer. Okay, and then the footer. So now our HTML is right, and now we can just go back to our solution CSS. And because I thought container had all this in it, but I was using it to mix both of them together. So here we got to call this one container. But then where the solution had the HTML of body within it, the body needed to wrap the whole thing. So we said this guy was there. Yeah, website content. But the solution, container, side. So where they have dot body is where we have dot website container. And we're going to call that display flex, and flex direction is equal to column. But now our container should have all the same things in it. So there's still a problem with this somehow. But that's about as much as I can deal with this one. I'm going to move on to the next one. Sorry, you guys, that this video wasn't complete, but it's I think that the gist of it is there. So we'll go get status. We can see we adjusted a few things. We just want to add our solution here. We don't want to change the outline, so I'm going to add that, and then I'm going to add this as well. And then if we go get status, we'll see that we haven't mounted our changes for the solution, because I don't want to do that. So now we can go get commit -m, add broken solution for 07 flex layout 2, and then we'll push that up. And yeah, now we just have that. So we can, if we want to undo our changes to the solution, we can go get reset -- hard, and then whatever solution changes we made are going to be changed. They're going to be changed back to the way they were. So yeah, let's move on. That's that for that. There's a knowledge check here. You guys can run through that, and then there's also some additional resources if you want to learn Flexbox, but I'm kind of tired of it. So we'll move on to the next lesson. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and thank you for watching.